So I'd like to just touch base real quick on the week 3 p.m. tools, and just kind of cover exactly what's in each of these. And if you have any questions, prior to them needing to be turned in, hopefully this will give you a little bit of feedback. So on the risk management, as we talked about in the overview video, we're really just kind of analyzing risks at a time. What the template's going to allow you to do is to just be able to say, okay, we've identified, sorry, this isn't opening as quickly as I would have liked. We have identified risk number, 1, risk number 2, risk number 3. For each of the risks that you're identifying, you're going to go ahead and put an ID number on that. Your project name, who the responsible person is. If you are identifying this in advance, you can put the date in. You might be, as you're going through this project, identifying risks along the way. So you can continue to do a risk analysis template in your live projects outside of this course, if you're wanting to identify them throughout the life of the project. And then you can really evaluate, what's the condition that this happened in, what really triggered it, and what are the consequences. And how are we going to respond? So this really gives you an opportunity to look at things in advance before they happened, and to really kind of prepare yourself so that you can best approach this as you're going throughout the project and not have as many obstacles or major obstacles that you might have otherwise. The risk log you do not need to fill out for the purposes of this course, but it's here for you because, like any great tool, you want to have access to it. And so as you're going throughout your project, you're actually going to kind of make a log or create a log of all of the risks, that you've had in this project or that will or may be arising. So then you can keep track of this. I think it helps in meetings when you go back and kind of look at what happened in a project and how you might even change it for future projects to come. So there's many different reasons and many different ways that you could use this. So don't worry about the risk log, just fill out the risk analysis template. Then I'm going to go back to week 3 for a moment. Apologize for the scrolling. And we're going to look at the scope. That'll be the other template that you're filling out. Now, there are a lot of templates here. The only ones that you need to be worried about at this moment for turning in for week 3 would be either the statement of work or the small project statement of work. I'll go into how these are different in just a moment. The reason that we have the change log and the change request is so that you can keep track of changes as the project moves through the life cycle. Now, just like construction, you might have a change order in a construction project because someone might be adding an additional room on or a different type of material that's going to cost more. And so you would create a change order. This is really the same thing. We're in the midstream of the project, we're in the beginning stages, but we've already proposed it, we've already had the budget accepted, we've already started execution, but something changes. And so we can create these change request forms and we can keep a log of those changes as we go throughout the project. This isn't any different than the risk template, where we're just really keeping track of it and we're keeping a log of it. Now, when we get into the statement of work, we'll talk a little bit more about a work package and what that means. So let's go in first to the regular statement of work. Now here in your statement of work, you're going to have, again, there's some similarities in your proposal and your statement of work. You're going to list again this purpose of the project, and you're going to revisit the scope. What are the major project activities that are involved? Now, this is really telling somebody, here's exactly what's going to happen and when. Here are the deliverables that we're going to give you. This is really important if you are delivering something to a new client or a new department. You want to be able to say to them, this project has been successful if we have delivered X, Y, and Z. And these deliverables, Make it very clear to them, what it is that they're going to be receiving in return. What is the outcome? What's the deliverable? Then you're going to move into your cost estimates, and you want to be detailed, versus just having maybe $5,000 out here. How did you arrive at these numbers? What were the labor hours? How much is it per hour? What are the total hours, to equal the total amount? And be just as detailed in your labor hours, your equipment, and any other costs for travel and training. Then again, we're going to revisit this schedule overview, which is very similar to what you're doing in the project proposal. But you can take the scope with your major project activities and kind of break it out into your major milestones or any external milestones. And this will help you as you move into week 4 into kind of creating that schedule for each of these milestones or each of the project activities. And then how are we going to measure the success of this project? What will have happened for us to say this has been successful? Some of that is closely related to the business requirement that you had in your project proposal. This again is kind of the stakeholder analysis that you did, and also who the chain of command is. The reason that this is really important is because sometimes when you're doing projects, you're really crossing some authority lines. You might have authority as a project lead, but maybe somebody else in another department doesn't quite, even though they've been asked for collaboration, they don't quite understand that line of authority still. And so this really gives you a great, project team kind of chain of command so that it really lays out. This is exactly in a visual where the chart lies, and here's who's kind of making the chain of command decisions. And then a customer approval chain if that applies to your project. If this does not, then I wouldn't necessarily fill this out if this is an internal efficiency measure. You may not have an actual customer who's going to be approving the chain. And then you'll kind of follow up in the final with your assumptions. So if you have any questions on this, please let me know and I can certainly answer those. I think that your small project statement of work and plan is just a little bit different approach, but it's just laid out a little bit differently. Here's your purpose of the project. You have your scope, and it's just kind of listed in maybe a different way to kind of view it visually. You have your deliverables that are the same, your cost estimates that are the same, and your schedule overview. Measurements of success, and again, we don't necessarily have that chain of command visual setting or graphic, if you will. So the layout is a little bit different. Choose which one that you feel the most comfortable with and that makes the most sense for you for your project. I'd like to give you that autonomy for you to just decide what works best for you, and you can use either one. Now, a work package assignment is something that you would be using in the event of a live project. You don't need to fill it out for purposes of this course, but you can certainly use it for your projects. And what this is basically doing is it's taking one of your tasks, one of your major project activities, and you're breaking it down. Sometimes this can help if you are working across departments. It can help you explain to them that this is the task that's assigned to this particular team member. This is the date that we're actually assigning it. This is the description of what it is that you're going to do. And in order for it to be complete, this is the criteria that we're going to give you. And this is the date you're going to start and the date that you're going to finish. And these will be the costs that are relative to it. It really helps that team member understand. It goes a little bit beyond a responsibility matrix and says, here's exactly what I expect from you. It's clarifying, it communicates well, and that's part of being successful in a project is having good, clear communication between our team members. So you can certainly use those if you would like. in your live project and the ones that you're doing right now that are ongoing and you're working with teams, this can be really beneficial in clarifying roles and responsibilities. So I hope that as we look at week 3, that that's very clear for you. And we'll put these videos out for week 4, 5, and 6, just so each of these templates have some clarifying factors to them. Reach out if you have any questions at all.